everyone, it's Daniela here and welcome to another game. We'll be playing Wave of the Apocalypse Heart of the Forest, which is part of the February Humble Bundle. It's a visual novel, it has horror elements to it. It looked really great by things I saw on the store page on Steam, so I thought why not get into it and see what it's going to be like. So we're going to be starting a new game. Prologue, Premonition. Let's start the chapter. Tutorial. This game is about rage and how it helps us to do things that need to be done, as well as things that we later regret. Sometimes both. How do you feel about that? Alright, so we got rage, willpower, health, and I guess this is the moon? Yeah, moon phase, full moon, and this is the date. It's summer already. And this is the character sheet, so let's have a quick look. We don't have a name yet. We don't have any personality assessments, and our mind and body is currently healthy, which is good to know that we start with a healthy mind and body. Alright, rage. I'm okay with anger when it's useful. Sure. Either way, we'll get more rage, so that's fine. Your rage is balanced, so you're the critical and analytical type. That's okay. There's no right path here, just decisions and their consequences. Alright, so my decisions need to be fair and just. That sounds correct. So we're analytical. So we got a personality assessment. The forest, the woods are full of stars. They flicker, come closer, run away. They want me to chase them, to play hide and seek. I'm going to hunt, I'm going to observe, or I'm going to hide. Let's observe. So we got one inspiring, one more analytical, and one spiritual. I watch as they dance around the tree trunks, floating up of the gusts of wind that shiver through the branches, disappearing among the leaves. There are words in their dance, but I don't understand them. Not yet. Then they bunch up and fly towards me like an arrow. Rushing down, they're soon upon me. But just before the spear of light pierces my breast, they disappear and the dark of the night returns. Balanced. In the darkness I feel the strangled roots of stories keeping the forest alive, and I hear the spirits asking me to judge the enemy. I open my eyes, and then I wake up. Cold and alone, confused, I open my eyes. The forest around me is thick, dark, and reeks of decay, to such an extent that it's hard to breathe. Why am I here is, I think, a proper question to ask. My head is spinning. Why am I here? There must be a reason. The tree trunks wrapped tightly in dark-leafed ivy. They covered in ripples of lichen, but the vines haven't yet taken hold. The thorny, leafless bushes at the base are overrun with nettles. The fungi radiate with ghoulish, sickly green light. Dark sponge-like mushrooms cling to the fallen trees. Let's try to breathe. I think we kind of have to survive. I take a deep breath and suddenly realize that it's not the forest that smells so foul. It's me. Oh god. I look down and I see my hands covered in a dark substance. I'm naked. A sticky, glistening film of liquid is clinging to my skin. I can feel it on my face, in my hair. Blood. Let's be on alert. Like, we're covered in blood. It's either ours or someone else's or something else. And I'd rather be alert to, if it's someone else or something else, it's not going to get upon me. So let's be alert. So we're one more spiritual. Nature is never quiet. The leaves rustle in the wind, small creatures scuttle in the undergrowth. There's a whisper. I don't understand what it means, but the word resonates in my head. Garrow? It said that there's a severed head right in front of me. Some choices are hard to make and they strain your willpower. So either I'm gonna touch the decapitated head. I'm gonna be sick. I am gonna be sick. The face is contorted, the eyes bulging, the mouth open and tongue stuck out. It's obscene. I feel bile rising in my throat and I start to wrench. And then the eyes open in the darkness. Who is it? I can see the silhouettes, shades of jet black against the darkness. They smell of fur and moss and bloodied earth. Massive creatures with some horns, some with antlers. Their eyes burn like small fierce windows into hell. I look at them and then something breaks inside me. So I can do defiance? Sure. So we got one cunning and one spiritual. Awesome. They tell me story of their lost battles and dying hopes, and I say no. I tell them my stories of the enemy and how they are so stupid, so clueless, and it will almost feel pity as we kill them. They listen and laugh, and I laugh with them. In a moment of clarity, I almost understand what the Force wants from me. And then I wake up. Again? I wake up again? I thought I woke up once and then saw the head. Chapter 1, Arrival! Dreams. Maia, Maia, wake up. And because I've got balanced rage, I jerk upright. My neck was stiff and the movement sent a sudden sharp wave of pain through my body. I wasn't in the forest anymore. I was in a bus. The sun streaming through the window was it making hard to see. The girl next to me was touching my shoulder, disturbed. So she's neutral. Okay, I'm okay. I snapped more harshly than I intended. When your rage is high, you might say and do things you later regret. Okay. She looks at me hurt. You are laughing like maniacally. I blinked. The memory of the dream was still there, and the taste of blood in my mouth. Let's look outside. I look outside. The narrow road cuts through a dense old forest. It was one from my dreams. We're almost there, says the girl next to me. Her name was Anya. We met a couple of weeks earlier on the orientation day. She was from Norway, a tall, broad-shouldered, calm person who wore her long hair in braids. Somehow, I managed to talk her into this crazy field trip across the land of my ancestors. We were there to study medicine. Oh, she looks content. She's probably content on the bus. Maia reaches into her backpack and took out 2 apples. Are you excited to finally be here? She asks and she tossed me one. Yeah, I said, biting into my apple. It was sweet, but a little soft. I was glad Anya had decided to come with me. I had problems keeping friends around and really needed one. I did some searching, she said, from the telephone, and this place is amazing. The last primordial forest in Europe. This trip was my idea. Our summer language course was starting in a few weeks, and I managed to talk Anya into skipping the tours of concentration camps and old churches and visiting Białowieża National Park with me instead. So far, it's beautiful, she said, her eyes smiling. But why are we here again? Good question, Anya. Why were we here? There being Białowieża, a small village in the northeast of Poland near the border with Belarus. It was famous for its national park, the very last European bison, and, according to a quick web search, occasional tensions between the far-right troublemakers and a local Belarusian community. The most honest answer would have been, because I've been dreaming about the forest in Białowieża since I can remember, but people didn't understand when I say things like that. I look her into the eyes. Let's keep it simple. I'm looking for my roots. I kept it simple so I wouldn't freak her out. What I didn't tell her was even more important. I knew my family was from here. None of my relatives spoke about it though. There were a lot of things that weren't spoken about in my life. Strange dreams that plagued me, half-forgotten tales about the forest and wolves that I heard before my mom took me, ran away, and cut off all contacts with my dad and his family. Anya felt silent for a moment. You know what? Let's see how it rolls, she said at last with a smile. If your trauma becomes too much for me, I'll just split and go sightseeing by myself. So that's where we stood. And that's precisely why I needed to do something, anything about my future. The damn forest and my weird-ass family. I wasn't there by mistake. I planned this trip for months, with a clear goal in mind. Let's figure out the roots, because probably we have to face the forest to find out about my roots. And we probably have to know my roots to learn about my destiny. Ooh, the goal mystery. Learn your family history. My grandfather's stories. The secrets, my mother's running away. There was a mystery in my past. It was time I uncovered the truth about who I was. But honestly, I had no idea what to expect. Welcome home? Białowieża looked like an overexposed photo of a village with the contrast turned all the way up. Heat was pouring from the cloudless sky, scorching the earth, the trees, the grass, the wooden houses, the fences. Everything looked like slightly past its best. Very worn out. Everything except the shadows. They were there sharp, as though they were freshly painted with the darkest of inks. For a second, I could have sworn they moved. But then I realized it was just a black cat walking down the sidewalk. When it saw me, it stopped in its tracks. Let's try to pet the cat. It probably is a nice kitty. I hope. Here, kitty kitty, I said, squatting and reaching towards the cat. It didn't react, instead looking me dead in the eyes, judging me. Hey, Maia, Anya said, looking at me surprised. Didn't you say your friend would be waiting for us? But he wasn't there, and the cat was still staring at me. Let's go, Anya put on her backpack. I'm tired and I really need to find a toilet. For a moment I was tempted to just get out of the sun and worry about my missing friend later. Disappointed I left. I grabbed my backpack and started walking. I hate when people break their promises, I muttered under my breath. Anya caught up with me. Don't worry, you'll find him later. Bed and breakfast. Białowieża had a few hotels and hostels. Preferred form of accommodation was a bed and breakfast. So that's where we stayed. I found one that was nice, clean and it had good reviews. We had a room on the second floor with a huge window and a great view of the forest. We dropped off our stuff and freshened up a little bit. Maybe we should have waited for your friend, Anya asked concerned. I shrugged. I'll find him sooner or later. Before you go, check out your character sheet. Look for it in the upper right corner on the screen. You can find a load of useful information about Maia, her background, personality, goals and so on there. You can also check who your friends and who your enemies are. Białowieża was a quaint tourist town. So this is me. I'm an American student, 24 years old. I am not that brave. I'm mostly spiritual, a bit analytical, inspiring and cunning. I'm healthy. My goal is to learn about my family history, pursue to regain willpower. My relation is that Anya's neutral and my family, it's complicated. The lay of the land. I had a clear goal in mind. My family was entangled with this town and the forest. I had to uncover my roots. Anya went with you. So we can either go to the town or we can go to the forest. Let's go into town because I have a feeling more people are going to be there. Serendipity. As we walked through town, Anya nudged me and pointed to a tall, broad-shouldered, freckled guy standing at the bus stop with a lost expression on his face. I remembered his face from the pictures on social media. It was the friend who stood me up earlier. I was glad to see him. Bartek, I waved to him and smiled. Sorry I missed you earlier. Maia, what are you doing here? He blurred with surprise when he saw me. I was sure you were coming on the later bus. We started walking and talking. His accent was broad and East European. Let's flood him with questions, I think. That is a nice thing to do. Luckily he loved talking about his home, so when I flooded him with questions, he kindly obliged. He talked about how the village had become a tourist destination, how the logging business moved to a nearby town, how the trains had stopped coming, and the local station had been turned into a hotel for wealthy foreign hunters. The dozens and dozens of bison statues scattered around the village watched us indifferently. We walked along the only street in the village, nearing the center, if you could call it that. Every house had a garden, and the air was dense with fragrance of flowers. So, did you manage to trace the name I gave you? I asked. Bartek shook his head. Nothing, absolutely nothing. Sorry. Just avoiding my eyes. A tickle of sweat ran down his temple. He was clearly lying to me. But why? Come on, man, I said. You wrote to me that you found something. But he just clammed up. You know what? I think you should drop it. I stopped. So either I unleash all my charm, but he's my cousin also? I felt hurt, or he's scared of something. Let's assume the worst and say that there's something going on in the family, that he told someone from the family he was meeting up with me and telling me about this big something, and then another family member said, no, you can't tell her about it in any case. So maybe he's scared of something? I turned to Bartek and touched his arm. What's eating at you, man? He shrugged and shook his head. Don't tell us, Anya added gently. Like, I can't really lose any willpower. Yeah, so let's taunt him a bit. What are you afraid of? I spread my arms. Little old me? The game takes your decisions on how Maia approaches problems. They accumulate and gradually reveal what kind of person she is, deep in her heart. The story changes to reflect Maia's personality. Alright, that's nice. While he brushed his forehead with the back of his hands. I did ask. I started with the old people here. I told them that my friend, coming from the state, was looking for her roots and wanted to know about the place her family came from. You know the drill. At first, people were very, receptive. I waited for the other shoe to drop. And then I mentioned your name. He shook his head. Let him continue. Bartek, no dramatic pauses, please, I urged him. Tension is killing me. One of the old men here told me to go to hell. The other spat on the ground, and his wife crossed herself. For a moment he looked younger and smaller, and then my own grandmother told me to stop asking. She said something else as well. What? I asked. She told me to pray for you. Suddenly the sweet golden afternoon wasn't so sweet and golden anymore. I would be interested. I knew there was something weird and twisted connecting my family to the forest. I could feel a shiver run down my spine. We walked in silence, but my mind was in overdrive. People didn't want to talk, and it could only mean one thing. I was on the right track. Hint, people were scared of my family. That is very observant from me. So we got full willpower and full health now. Every time you learn something or do something significant and will bring you closer to your goal, you gain willpower. I was ready to see some sights. To see some sights? I nodded at bear attack. Show me everything this place has to offer. We walked through the village, bathed in the sharp rays of the summer sun. It was a lazy afternoon, disturbed only by the occasional passing of cars throwing up clouds of dust that hung in the air long after the vehicle was gone. Anya was walking close to Bartek, asking him about every little detail in the village. People were relaxed, all working in their yards. Dogs were barking, and every cat we passed froze to look at us. People went about their day, though giving us wary stares from time to time. Why the stares? Really? Don't people like strangers here? I asked, still feeling the angry gaze of some random woman at my back. What's everyone's deal? Bartek sighed. They don't, he admitted. I am curious to why. Why? I asked candidly. It's complicated. Bartek scratched his neck, embarrassed by the topic. There's a small conflict around the forest, you know, and it's attracting some weird people. Activists, reporters, bored rich kids, he said, as though his dad didn't own multiple businesses. People like that. And they're getting on the locals' nerves. Fair enough. I nodded. I didn't explain the cats though. Well, you're not the only... you're not one of those crazies. And you're like almost local, he smiled. So, what would you like to see in the village of your ancestors? He spread his arms as if to show me all of the splendor the village has to offer. What do you suggest?